Hi there, you're at the Algorand Wyckoff technical analysis session, and we will look at both weekly and daily time frame and see whether Algorand is really heading towards the distribution. There are early signs over there, so let's quickly take a look. Here in the weekly chart, so previously we already put in the tag asking is the backup or last point of support happening, and it seems like especially this week with this red pin over here, that is on the build-up. That doesn't seem to be a second test at a lower level as of now, at least, because these red candles over here, the volume isn't really very high. So even there was a bit of quick resistance over here back in mid-July that pushes the price down back to below the yellow dashed line around 28 cents. So far the price has been staying above this level, and when you ask what is this level of like 24 cents 50, that's actually extended from the automatic rally. That's why the price has been finding support over the past 3 weeks, and if that continues, that means it's consolidating momentum for the push. As of now, after the squeeze back in late June, has its energy being released to push the price up to the sign of strength. Currently, if the price continues to trade within a narrow range, that means another squeeze will happen, and that may be the chance for the new buying climax to come, much like what happened over here. So that's the positive scenario, and then that's more likely as of now when we see it. So last time when this happened, you see this red to green to SOS and then returned, and eventually there was a little wave over there. Now it went up, it came down, and then it's doing the wave thing again. So it's probably in a matter of a few weeks to 1 to 2 months that we'll be able to see this new distribution cycle happening. Hopefully there won't be like a retracement as steep as last time that went below the selling climax, because it's quite a bit of distance from there to the selling climax this turn. So here, this channel box, I hope, at least for the bulls, it's not a real thing. In 2 weeks time we'll see. We'll be able to tell whether this downward channel is really a reality, because if the price doesn't go above and closes above this box, that means there is still a chance for the bears that a second test would happen. But for now, it seems this scenario is more likely than coming down for a second test. So going to the daily, the micro view, we have put in these tags already, and both hasn't happened yet. However, this last point of supply is still there, and the price is still trading within this downward channel box. So that's why I said just now in the weekly chart, I hope this isn't true, but looking at the daily, it seems the price is still finding resistance whenever it hits the ceiling of this channel box over here, much like what happened in the buying climax. So one thing I would hope to see for the bulls to be happy about is, even if the price continue to come down, it finds support above this yellow line. As of now, it's obviously finding support at this level, that 0.2526, that's where the last sign of weakness was. So it's clearer if I draw this second line over here. You see where the sign of weakness candles ended up touching. So as well as this little peak over here, but that's not a clear Wyckoff stage, it's more like referencing the sign of weakness. So as long as this level remains strong, it's only a matter of time, it's probably within the next week, that we see either breaking above or breaking below happen. Breaking above means you see this triangle over here. So by end of this month, this tip will happen, but usually the breakout won't happen like at the last few days. It's rare. It doesn't mean it's zero chance, but still a lot of times, probably a week before that tip happens, the price will break either to the upside or to the downside, depending on how the market sentiment looks like. So if it happens to the upside, obviously we already put in the tag here, it's going to challenge the buying climax level again. In the weekly chart, it will be the leg towards a PSY level, and then there may be fluctuations over there. So that's one scenario. The second scenario is if it doesn't break above it, but instead go below. We already mentioned there's a support line over here, the previous sign of weakness back in the beginning of this month. If we look at the weekly chart, that means there's a level somewhere around here that's still above the selling climax, but is basically a line that's cutting across some of these peaks of the candlesticks over here. So it's not I would say it's still a kind of a key level over here. I just noticed one thing, that I haven't put in the rainbow key levels for Algorand. So I'll do this near the end of the session, so if you're interested, you can stay. If you're not, let me finish off with the daily, then when I move on, you can feel free. So now, as a closing, a first or second test is the positive scenario. Over the next week or two, not so good scenario is another sign of weakness, but this can be temporary because it may rebound and then find a new leg outwards. So right now I put them at similar time, around the end, or like in a week or 10 days time. I put it at over here because it's getting near to the tip of this triangle over here. Next week when we come back, we can further adjust if it hasn't breakout. If it has, then there may be more time if it breaks to the downside before it gathers sufficient momentum to push the price up again. Hopefully it's not heading towards another selling climax. Like I said, this downward channel, I hope is not true, but there's still a chance that it can be true, because we all know after sign of strength, the price retracement can go as deep as the selling climax in the weekly time frame or even lower. So while we hope for the best towards the upside, be prepared that some fluctuations would still happen. So that sums up both the weekly and daily view. I'm going to add the rainbow key levels now, so if you're interested how I determine the levels, stay with me and let's go. So here I'm going to borrow some key levels lines. This one I'm going to remove because eventually the rainbow levels will touch on those. I'm going to borrow from A. So, yep, purple to red, or if you prefer, red to purple. So I'll put it in here, unlock, and drag it over here. So I will take a quick look by shrinking the chart. Yeah, it's long enough, and interestingly, not much adjustments have to be made. So quickly, starting from the bottom, and this is where I would consider the first key level. So reason, you see this series of candlesticks staying above, and then there's a little peak over here, and then as well as the bottom, well actually this particular two sets. So that's why there are sufficient reference points over there to make this the first key reference level. So this can be locked, not yet. It should set it as 0.010, as well as this. Just take out this. Okay, then I can lock it. The second one, there are some peaks and troughs, I'd say somewhere near here, and that's probably 0.16, I guess. Let's adjust and see whether that's the case. Yeah, 0.16. You know it's a range, so it doesn't matter. It can go higher, a bit higher or lower, but the key thing is these points over here. Selling climax, second test, that happened just earlier in April and June. And we go further back in time, there's sign of weakness back in April last year, and other sign of weakness back in February last year. They all were at around this level. Obviously there were some more in the earlier past that were around this level as well. So you see, it's a long history existing for these key levels. So next, have I locked this? Not locked it. Third, the yellow key level. So the funny thing is, if I put it around here, yeah, there seems to be considerable amount of reference points as well. Yeah, so I would say this level is pretty solid, so I'll adjust the line towards those points. Yep, there it is. So it's like the 20 cents. So it's interesting to see how human psychology works, right? At these numbers that are the anchoring points for people, like 10 cents, 20 cents, and later we probably see 30 cents and maybe 40 cents as well. So our minds, our brains are so fixated onto these whole numbers. That's why some people would front run either when they design their algorithm or when they trade and put in their orders. They will try to front run these numbers because they know a lot of people will set their orders around these numbers. So when you've set yours, think about it, whether you want to set it right at that point or would you like to make a little bit of adjustments. So the next one would be around here. Reason being, first, sharp eyes, you probably have noticed this automatic rally just in May, and then the buying climax back in December 2023, and obviously these little peaks over here, as well as these pin and exchange points, and this bunch of peaks over here. So many reference points again. So this level 0.24, interestingly, borrowing from it was 240 over there. Here is around 24 cents and locked. So the fifth one, we have the automatic rally, but then we see, okay, over here there's an up thrust plus this little LPSY over here, and also this, as well as the sign of strength this time, just back in late July. So I'll pull this down to a point right here. This is more conservative approach rather than selecting the tip of the wicks. So also considering this peak over here as well. So this seems to be the right level at 0.29. So that's the light blue key level. And locked, second last. Obviously we can draw more because the peak was really crazy back in 2021, but we don't need that for now unless the price goes really crazy this coming distribution cycle. Then I'll draw another rainbow range over there. So this above 2.29 is a bit noisy over here. You see a lot of different candles happening. I will pick this automatic reaction point as a reference. If I drag the line down here, you see the sign of strength, the wick went through it, but it's still fine. The up thrust last time back in March also ended around this point, the wick. More importantly is to the left here. At least I see some peaks and or the heads and tails of candles around this point that makes it a sufficiently relevant mark. So I would say that's 0.32. And have it locked. Okay, finally the purple level. So if this distribution cycle really happens, I believe we'll have another set above this range, because this is likely just the PSY level. The BC would be way above. I don't know, maybe somewhere here or somewhere here. I'll just leave the tag over here, but definitely not the purple level. So why I put the purple here? You see these two candles ending up here, and then these plus these, some wicks over here, but not very obvious. If we don't choose this level, because this seems there's not many reference points, then the next would be the LPSY over here. You see this, right? So in order to be a key level, I prefer it having more than 3 reference points that I can get. So the last level we checked, there were only 3. Now we've got the LPSY, we've got these peaks over here, that's already 3 points. There's this mini peak over here, plus this over here, as well as this exchange, that overlapping period. So I would say we've got sufficient references, and I'll make it stay at here. That's why I say that's 0.4 basically, 0.397, so let's round it up to 0.4. Okay, so like I said, interesting human psychology. 0.1, 0.2, well, 0.29 or 0.3, 0.4. So a lot of these key levels are around these whole numbers. So that's how I construct these rainbow